So this is the final for this time conversation regarding not just AI, but technology in general that is being utilized and developed even as we speak to overtake many of the constructs that has been done by the human body before. Many people are in what you could call the honeymoon period with AI, but not only AI, all sorts of technologies which are being developed with the guise to make life easier. And the next step development is to put that into something tiny that is actually embedded within you. That you are changing and manifesting abilities that have been buried deep within you. You have power beyond measure to move into a superconscious being that can do many of these things that they are projecting and saying, oh, this is what you need. As well, the strongest vibrational current of light is in the word freedom. And that is about expanding possibilities beyond limitations.
Welcome, electrical, evelating beings of light, to our Zac chat with our cosmic friend Zac, who is sharing his insights and guidance so that we can optimally navigate our interactions with AI and perhaps understand it more, and crucially maintaining our sovereignty and our discernment, our divinity, and of course the intention for betterment for all. Today, Zac and I will explore not just the potentials, but also the more global aspects of AI and perhaps the concerns about how it's being shaped and used in our world with some of the corporate agendas. The responses from the last transmissions show that your audiences, Zac, really appreciate the need for personal sovereignty, whether they stay away from AI altogether or use it very carefully with discernment. And I understand that this is an important conversation for us to have today. So over to you. Welcome. It's wonderful to be with you again.
Good. So this is the final for this time conversation regarding not just AI, but technology in general that is being utilized and developed even as we speak to overtake, let us simply put it this way, many of the constructs that has been done by the human body before. Now, up until now, we have generally been speaking regarding personal interaction, personal regard, where you are in control and remembering self-mastery. To go into many of those topics, of course, please revisit recent chats, and we went far deeper in the deep dive into not only explanation, practical application, and the limitations. Now, be very careful. Limitations regarding technology that you are being told other, rather than the limitations of you. For there are no limitations of you. Now we come on to something that before we even start, it is natural that being on the precipice, humanity, of very, let us say, inclusive global change, it is natural there are levels of trepidation, there can be levels of fear. And a lot of this is coming understandably from a feeling of being not in control and also not knowing exactly what is coming. All of you wonderful human beings, incarnated souls, are clever enough in your energetic selves to be able to discern what is true for you and what is not. Interesting words here, true for you, because the truth for another person may be different, but what is true for you? And there can be a way, particularly when we are talking about collective experiences en masse, whether that is also a collective that is being governed by, for example, a governmental authority, an area that has certain boundaries, whether it is political, whether it is to do with finance, whether it is to do with your health. Everything ultimately is connected to your freedom. And I simply want to remind you as well, the strongest vibrational current of light is in the word freedom. And that is about expanding possibilities beyond limitations. Now, you are part of the collective. You cannot count, I am sure, the amount of times we have said, not only are you part of the universe is you. You are having an experience which is connected to all things. So we will skip over any ideas of, oh, how do I just push it away? How do I reject it? In the past, people could go and live off grid, and they could pay their way with money, cash, bartering, swapping, all sorts of different things. They could choose to move away from any sorts of Wi-Fi toxins. They could have very healthy land and so forth. It is relatively recent that whatever you do on any tiny corner of this planet, you are still part of the collective. And therefore, rather than rallying against, it is engaging this incredible, powerful, not only part of you, but the whole of you that has the ability to discern, to choose, to, in a balanced equilibrium, push against that which does not feel or you desire to be right for you and others, and to stay truly sovereign in yourself. All of this, understand, yes, my dear friend Hazel.
Yes, thank you, Zac.
So let us get on to what we are actually speaking of here. At present, you are in, for many people, not maybe for yourself if you're listening, you think, oh no, Zachariah, but many people are in what you could call the honeymoon period with AI, but not only AI, all sorts of technologies which are being developed with the guise to make life easier. It is very true, in your modern world, many people are inherently busy. They sleep less, they work more, they have more responsibilities. People maybe used to have a handful of friends and very happy with that because they were just living in a smallish environment. And their world, as you would see it today, would be very small, very rich, yes, in what they are doing, but small. All of you now are living in a global society. Many of you, you could count your friends that are all over the world, and keeping up with them, even something like that, which is desirable to do, can take time and effort and work, let alone what then may be added to that with family, friend, colleague responsibilities, work responsibilities, financial responsibilities. I do not have to keep saying the word responsible more for you to know, because I'm sure you are feeling it in your life. Therefore, during this honeymoon period, it is quite simple, really, for the marketing and other, for all sorts of technological developments to be portrayed as such that this will make your life simpler. This will give you more time. This will mean you do not have to think about so many things. Whether this is simply something such as, rather than before you didn't have a computer, then you had a big computer, and that was just at work. Then you had something at home, then it turned into maybe a little laptop, then it turned into a device, and soon it was just your phone. This is still, as we know, incredibly intrusive. If you think of your actual world, the amount of time, your energy state is what is going on within all the paraphernalia within your phone, rather than what is going on within you. And the next step development is to put that into something tiny, that is actually embedded within you. Now, this could be portrayed again as, oh, but you'll have access to all of these things. And if you are tired, if you have too many things to think of, if you are not knowing that there is any risk to this, you could simply say, well, why wouldn't you then embrace it? However, once you start giving over beyond what you can put down, live in another room, maybe even live in another building, but actually that something is carried not only within yourself, but within your energy field, you get into some very tricky waters, like going along on a nice river bank, and then you're suddenly sucked into some current where you yourself and your energy is being pulled by something else. Now, this is something to consider. You are changing the whole time. We do not have to tell you that you are constantly replacing the cells of your body, that you are creating more and more neurons in your brain, your capacity to learn, to shift, to change, your emotional intelligence now, your mental intelligence, should you wish, your spiritual intelligence. Everything is constantly in a state of flux, in a state of flow, in a state of change. As you know, any teacher would tell you the worst thing is to remain static, because that is not life here on earth, because that can become stagnant. So you flow and you change. When you look at it this way, to put something finite into your body is naturally going to block flow. And as you are shifting and changing, that is not actually shifting and changing itself and can manifest in all sorts of problems. So this is slightly different than what we are talking about generally with AI, but we are bringing it forward in the conversation first, just simply to set the stage. Because it is natural that when you are very busy, when you are feeling quite frayed, if someone comes along and depicts themselves as your friend and says, this is the only thing that this will do, but this will help you, of course, many people are going to embrace it. It is not that they are wrong. It is not that they are silly. It is not that they are choosing a different path. It is simply that they are very tired. You understand, yes, Hazel?
I feel like they probably think it's just part of the way that we're going to evolve on this planet as well.
This is a very good point. There is very clever, maybe we can call it an agenda, that looks, this is where AI is very, very clever as well. It is being populated by people's thoughts, questions, all sorts of things. And remember, we have said in the last 50, 100 years, the compassion in your world, whether you think you see it or not in what you see happening, but the compassion people feel has morphed and elongated itself. Well, we can see it in the stars. Okay. So people have great compassion, great empathy. Sometimes they do not know how to show it, and there is a block, but they feel it. And in this is coming out with many of the things that are asked and so forth in AI. Therefore, the general consensus, and of course, when we are talking about large collective experience, corporate experiences, they're not going to one or two people saying, what do you think? How do we put this? They are using data. And this data is coming a lot from this new field. And it is saying, if you can talk to people, to their empathy, if you can talk to their compassion, if you can talk to them in ways that are intriguing and very digestible to them, you will get a certain response, a more positive response. People used to be a lot more placid. And there was a time where the marketing of any such thing would simply be saying, don't think about it, just do this. We've got your best intentions. We are here for you. We are looking after you. You do it. And people would do it. Now, if something came this way, people are far more savvy and they may go, really? I do not think so. However, if it is packaged in such a way, using vocabulary that is very familiar to them, if it is talking in a way as if we are doing this because we are so compassionate for you, we are concerned with how busy you are, blah, 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 blah. Of course, then again, it is not about people being silly. They're just too rushed. And they are going to see it because there is not a counterbalance of the problems that this can come. Now, before we go into the actual issues, just to reiterate something that has been said, not just in our conversations, different Hazel, regarding this topic, but all the way through. Be very clear now. You are living on a time of such revelatory change upon the earth, barely been seen before in such a short period of time. The last few hundred years, particularly since the Industrial Revolution, that is speeded up, speeded up, speeded up, speeded up, just as it feels like time is speeding up now, that you are changing and manifesting abilities, or should we say bring forward deep abilities that have been buried deep within you. You have power beyond measure. And we are not talking about power and force, even though many people have this, of course, and we have the counterbalance where you see people who want to have power, who inflict power. We are talking about heart power, where you can actually use your emotional intelligence, the other intelligence, the physical intelligence, the connection with your nature and all sorts of things to move into a superconscious being that can do many of these things that they are projecting and saying, oh, this is what you actually need. You have the power to be more creative than ever before, to invent, to be part of a huge, wonderful solution to the problems that humanity has created in the past, because you have access, because you are such a collective, to information way beyond that which you may have read in books, learned through your life experiences. You can go way out and connect with so much more. So we need to say this because it is so important to know. If you feel that the corporate agendas and others are getting to a point of really we have to be careful now because it is moving past an easy ride. This is moving past. We can see, we can feel, we can know because you are very, very clever energy beings. You can feel it and know actually if we give away, and this is not just about sovereignty, if we actually give away our electrical power, and we've been speaking recently, have we not, my dear, regarding electric, the etheric universe in Deepy Dive and other. Right now, all you need to know is you are a battery of energy. So even at the very, very least of the experiences that could be detrimental, you could be used as a battery of energy. Your life force is primal and it is yours. It is your choice. It is how you live and what you do. And I'm not talking about living a good life, bad life. I'm talking about literally how you monitor and work with your energy to keep the life force at the levels that you wish it to. Imagine that it's something that is being pushed upon you that you then go, oh, you know what, for ease, let us just simply be part of it. Let's not get involved. Let's just do it. And it is gently, a bit vampirish, gently actually sucking off energy from you. If you think that AI, as they say, is moving to a space where it all talks with each other, why would it not be the case that this technology and moving into the sphere of the body could then also be used like a slight battery energy? What a shame it would be if you were doing so much for your energy and you were supporting other energy because you are constantly being drained. It is not like being a blood donor who gives blood for the good of another and then simply recuperates. If you are constantly being drained of energy, this can be very problematic for all the systems of your body. And that is just a very small amount. But there are many, many different ways that this can go if willingly give over the energetic state to other. Now, you could think, well, let's forget all of this about actual chips and pins and this and that and whatever, and actual physical. What about when it comes to the process of AI coming into financial institutions? It's already there, but if it then starts to take on a mind of its own, remember we have been saying, it may come across with mimicry to have emotional responses, but it is not emotional. Emotions are connected with the human self and many of the species upon your planet. In fact, you could say all species has emotions, even though they may not be likened, something that can be tracked like a human emotion. But there is desire, let us say, desire to live. When you see a plant that is desiring to live, this goes beyond just what is chemical. There is an energy that you could think of as emotive, for example. But all the species have a level of emotion, okay? And therefore, the mimicry within it can make you think that this is feeling you know, doing what is right. But it is actually learning how to put something to you in a palatable way. However, what it is doing is a priority, like a program that has a certain agenda. So therefore, you could see for the financial institutions, the agenda could be, how do we pool all the money and use it for this? Okay? And then that could be that the people who have put in the money could then have all sorts of different things curtailed. Or it could be that the finance goes hand in hand with what people perceive health to be. And it could say, well, you know, it's actually in everyone's best interest that you are only getting your finance if you do this with your health. Okay? Or even if you do such and such with your health that we tell you you should be doing, you will get a financial benefit. Now, there's many other types of things that this can be used for. This is very high level, just saying just these sort of things. But you can imagine yourself because, you know, clever beings, you can imagine, you have the ability to imagine all the different problems that could come up, especially living a sovereign life. Suddenly, all the busyness, when all of these things come into your home and you think, oh, this thing was helping me, but actually now I've given away my power. And there's something else. There is an agenda. And in a way, it does not matter if that agenda, why those are there, you know, whether you like to think of it as dark forces or people with certain power trips or whatever. The fact remains, even if it is coming from a place of idealism of what the future could look like, you know, you have had books, you have had all sorts of doctrines that have been written for centuries warning you about giving away your power. At the time, you would not have likened it to now because you would never have known how in your power you were coming. We could go down routes where you say, well, it's about keeping people in a certain place. There's all sorts of reasons. But the reason is not important. For what we are being very specific, because we have a finite amount of time here today. I understand different, Hazel. What is so important to know, it is in your world, it is around you. Just pushing back is not enough. However, people have power. There's always tipping points. If enough people say, enough. Yes, we can use technology to advance certain things for very specific things, understandable. But when it is being portrayed, this is where you can really see it. When something is being portrayed that says, you may not have any problems now, but we can just simply make your life easier, then be careful. Because this is not something, if you are getting something through technology or that is a solution to something that is very problematic in your life, that might be one thing. But when it's saying, oh, simply this is just making your life easier, is it? Why? Could we not actually look at what is making our life harder instead? Because actually all this busyness and everything is actually detrimental to self. Would it not be better to look in the mirror and to honestly, however difficult it could be, painful it could be, sobering it can be, is look and say, okay, I said that this is too busy, my life is too hard. But actually, if I look in the mirror, what are the things I could do first for myself? What could I do to change the things that I am finding too much? Because there are always things that can be done. I'm not saying everything can be done and everybody with every financial background, cultural background, where they're living in the world. There's a lot of problems wherever you are, rich, poor, whatever ethnicity, whatever country, whether you live close to water or away from water, whether you are bombarded by radio waves, Wi-Fi waves, so forth, whether you eat good food or bad food, whether you have good water or bad water. There will always be all sorts of different areas, but if you look in the mirror and you are not happy with your life, and you are truly honest with yourself because you have the power and you use that empathy and that compassion and all the other attributes you have developed through your lifetime, particularly in time now, the grace, the kindness, the love, and you turn that in upon yourself, you will find solutions. Therefore, it is a slight cautionary tale what we are talking of, because I will say again, you are on the precipice. And rather than being powerless to what is out there already and is coming, you actually have power to stay in your equilibrium. I would urge you all, particularly if you are part of Zac Portal, even if you do not want to hear the deep dives and all the rest of it, please, 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 particularly the last few meditations, this month, electrical harmony, remembering who you're becoming, many, many others that are there, which will help you in your sovereignty to not only remember, but to be in a state of perfect equilibrium and power. So they're not through fear, not through desire, not through any particular emotional response or reaction, but through your innate, centered, grounded state and clarity of what your heart truly says about you as a human and for the rest of the humans upon this planet. To be able to say, I engage or I don't engage. I allow this, but I don't allow that. And enough people energetically, and this is not quite so much about the activism of being out there, because people will be doing that and you may be part of that. This is not what this chitty chat is all about. This is saying simply by being steadfast in your power, root your power, send out a very clear clarion call to the universe of what you desire, because it is heard. And this is the wonderful thing. And this is what has not been anticipated regarding people. Your power, your electrical force is what is made up of this universe, and you are. And this will actually destabilize much of the push, push, push power, because again, it is like opposing forces. It is not about fight, it is not about power in the sense of push and force. It is about meeting the power that is coming to you with your own power, so that you can neutralize, so that you can be in a place where the world and each individual has choice, even when it is a collective response. Does all of this make sense, my different Hazel?
Wow, Zac, this is not what I would. This is not where I was expecting it to go, and it's just so poignant and so incredibly powerful for you to remind us of who we truly are and our infinite selves. It's just, we're infinitely more intelligent than any artificial anything as we connect to our truth as source beings. And It really is here. If AI is here to stay in all of its different guises, then it's up to us to triumph over it and to rise above and really connect into our superconscious nature, isn't it? I wanted to just briefly ask that the agendas that you speak of, they're the ones that are running the AI. AI in itself is inert, I presume. It's who's driving it. Humans are driving it. So will those humans start to go into their hearts, and will AI also have creators who come from their heart that will support our evolution?
Okay. Now to answer that, because this is a very good point, and the analogy I'm going to use, I do not want it to bring fear, but it is such a good, strong visual. Everybody knows the classic narrative of Frankenstein put a fear into many people that it is still so relevant today. Frankenstein's monster. Okay. Now, the creator of that was creating it ideally, first of all, with good intention. But once it was created, do we really need to say, does that creator need to change? Because it now exists in its own entirety. So it is not that it did Frankenstein, just simply this gives a strong visual. AI has now been created. Yes, it is being developed and so forth. The question isn't so much about those who are developing it, those who are driving it, because again, we give over our power to that. Now, this is not about you, Hazel. This is a very good question, which many people are thinking in their minds and asking, and this is why it is so important. Rather than using the energy to move through whether these people will change, what will actually happen, we go back to looking in the mirror for ourselves. The fact is, as we have said in the other chit-chat with AI, when you are in control in your sovereignty, as you say, when we understand it is not a friend as such, it does not have an emotive response. However, to do with the data crunching, to do with the information that can come, to do with helping overcoming creative blocks, to add in like a piece of a jigsaw puzzle. Yes, it's like doing a jigsaw and you're just missing a few little bits and it sort of puts a hand over you and shows you where some of them are so you can then take the lead once more. Then this could be something that is quite a boon. Not something for everybody. This isn't something, if you don't feel you need it, then don't use it. But certainly in certain spheres, this could be very, very useful, as you say, in that. However, because of the mimicry, the main place to be careful is where it may be coming across as this, you cannot do without it. This is now something that is so in your life that you cannot do without it. When you have to remember that even though it may take some energy and you think, oh, I'm too tired today, I don't want to think about these things, I don't want to number crunch, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do that. And you give away your power so much that you forget. Think of early days of the calculator. We're not vilifying the calculator. Everyone could do so much quick mental arithmetic. When you think of the people on the markets all around the world, quick, all the mental arithmetic. And then the calculator came in. You know, way big difference between that and the abacus of before. And very quickly, people lost the ability to do this quite so quickly unless they kept doing it. Okay. So this doesn't mean to say, throw the baby out with the bathwater, that expression, to say, oh, I never use it, but be aware of when you are using it, but also do things for yourself, because it is not just for your well-being, it is actually for your health, and it helps create more and more and more. So really, in answer to your question, it is more about being aware of the potentials and being guided by your gut, your solar plexus, the electrical part of you as well, the part that is connected to all things, as well as your heart and your mind, when you are working through these things, and being very, very careful and listening to yourself. So even if you are getting some very permissive, very nice ways of coming into you, of saying, oh, but this will help, this will do. If inside you are saying, oh, I think I should be a bit wary of this, listen. Also, just be careful, because we can very easily dip into full on fear and so forth. And this is not about that. Again, look in the mirror. Is this actually me being fearful? Again, just knowing. You don't have to do anything about it, but just have awareness of self. Does this make sense to you, my dear?
Thank you. That's so useful, Zac. It really is. And as you say, we are on a precipice of change, and the future's not written by the corporations or by codes. And it's really written by our collective intention and the resonance between all of us with these open hearts. And really, we are the ones that are here to choose wisely and hopefully inspire others to do the same and to co-create a world where our highest intentions are for the betterment for all. Zac, we've come to the end of our conversation time, but do you have some final words you wish to share with everyone?
I do. I just wanted to also go back to your question only for a moment, because the answer is what you needed to hear. But also, please know, you are, every single person, in a betterment for self, and this is what you've just brought out, inspires the field, not just inspiration directly, as you would think it in terms of human nature and humans coming together. You inform the field that they are a part of as well. The more people come from a place of this equilibrium and this desire for the good of all, the more that it changes. And remember, many of these people with these agendas, they may have a lot of difficulties within, and they really may believe that they are doing things. Maybe they are so overworked. They think that they are doing this to stop other people being so overworked. But all you can truly do, as you say, is through what you are doing for yourself. And then you see that start to disseminate your groups around you, your world around you, then all the things that you cannot see. It is like when they say the elders that plant a tree that they will never sit below, but they trust that it will grow and give shade and succor to others. And it is the same here. There may be people all around the world that your changes are inspiring by moving through the unified field. And you may never even see them. You may never even know, but trust. If you come from a place of love, again, always saying, not what you think of as romantic love, love which is the essence of the universe, that original source energy which inspires, which is creative, which always wants the good for all, then whatever you are doing, it is going to be useful for others way beyond your comprehension. And then we will go to a few final words, my dear. This is not a topic to be particularly scared of, or to particularly feel like, oh, I must go into this now. You may wish to come back and engage with this Chitty Chat, the DB Dive, any of the others, when it comes into your world more. At the moment, it may not. You are an incredible being of light. We are not saying this in an AI way of just, flattery and saying what you are wanting to hear. It is because it is a fact. We have to remind people the whole time because everything else in your world so often tells you otherwise. But you are. You are powerful beyond measure. You have intellect that sits in your gut, sits in your very essence. Whether you say, I do not have enough information about things, whether you say, I do not know what my heart feels, go to your gut. It is communicating directly with the very, very essence of you, which, as I say, is informed throughout all dimensions of the universe and beyond. Mind-boggling. Rather than having to do the hard work, simply be, come into equilibrium. And of course, very, very useful to say the transmissions to different Hazel here, to Janet, that we have given out time and 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 time again. Many years now. And with the supporting meditations is just one aspect, but it can be a very helpful aspect to keep your equilibrium, to engage with a brighter, healthier, more vibrant you as a whole, so that everything that you decide to engage with in your life becomes so much easier, flowing, undulating, helpful, light, bright, blah, blah, blah. All of these things, yes. So it is just to remember it, that it's not just what we have been talking about in this short period of time. There is many, many other things. This is a toolkit for you, but you will also be inspired, of course. Your soul energy, yourself, your personality will be finding things constantly. The universe will be bringing things constantly into your awareness so that you can have your own unique path to enjoying this crazy thing called life. Understand? Yes, my dears.
Beautiful. Thank you, Zac. What a wonderful ending. Yes, it is a beautiful life. And we are so blessed to be here at this time. We really, truly are. Thank you so much for everything that you've shared with us today. And I'm so deeply grateful to you, Zac. And I'm also grateful to all of you. And if you found this conversation insightful, helpful, sort of balancing in some way, please share it so that your like-hearted friends can tune into this high frequency ascension wisdom. And all the links are below. But thank you again, dearest Zac. And thank you all for listening and caring so deeply about how we move forward with AI, more importantly, with our own abilities to expand our experiences so that we can continue and enhance this evolution journey. So thank you all. Bye-bye for now, and we'll see you very soon. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, Zac.